guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a video of romance recommendations that more people need to read, that I'm shocked more people haven't read, that you need to read right now, because all of these except for two have a less than 1,000 ratings on Goodreads, and a few of them have less than 500, and I'm just like, how have more people not read these books? A few of them are ones I literally talk about all the time that I'm just like, I know more than 100 of you are watching this video, yet only 100 people have read this book, and I'm just like, how? So these are all romances that I really loved. I gave either a really high 4 or 5 stars, and I think more people should be picking them up because it's a shame more people aren't reading them, so I'll go ahead and get to the books. The first one I've talked about, I feel like I talk about it a lot, but I guess I don't because only 119 people have read this book, and I get the cover is not the best, but Private Eye by Katrina Jackson. But Private Eye by Katrina Jackson is a spy romance book with a cam girl and a spy, and like, you can't get any better than that. Is the cover, does it need work? I think it needs a little bit of work. I was talking with Desiree from Geeky Reader because she was talking to someone else and she was reading her Katrina Jackson's other book, and she's like, I love them, but the covers just need a little bit of work. And I'm like, I agree. I don't love this cover. It just looks like something I could make. And so I think that might be something that is preventing more people from picking this up, but this one was so good. It is actually book 2 in a series, but I've only read this one, and our hero is a spy, and he was introduced to this cam girl through a different situation because like one of his co-workers started living with her, so he had to look into her, and then he kind of like became obsessed with her, not in a creepy way, but she's a cam girl, and so he was like watching some of her sessions, and they like formed a connection through her sessions, and so she just thinks he's just this guy that like pays to watch her sessions, and in reality he is a spy, and they actually need her help in a new case because these bad guys are using her website where like other cam people are on to make like deals of like bad things, and so they're gonna use her sessions as a way to like draw those guys in and like catch them kind of thing, and so they need to like work together, and then he needs to like pose as her boyfriend in some of her sessions because like that's the kind of things that the bad guys like to like watch, and they'll like draw him in. It's so good. Read this book, please. The next one, also I feel like BookTube is such like a small community in the whole grand scheme of the book world, and so this one did recently-ish come out, so it does have a decent amount of reviews for just coming out, but I really wish more people would read it because I really love this for a certain aspect of it. That's the Duke Heist by Erica Ridley. This one came out in February, and it has 571 ratings on Goodreads, but I just want more people to read this because the found family aspect of it is just to die for. Our heroine was orphaned, and she was adopted along with like 6 other people or 5 other people by this guy, and he passes away, and his painting was stolen, and it was a painting they all like love and hold super close to their hearts, and so they turn to our heroine to get it because she has that kind of skill set, and all of them have different skills. Like one's a great forger, one is obsessed with animals, one can do voices weirdly, like make it sound like, I forget what it's called, but she makes it sound like it's not coming from her, and it's really funny, and another one disguises really well. So our heroine decides to try to steal it from this duke and ends up accidentally kidnapping him, and the found family is just amazing in here, and the romance is really sweet and fun, and the third act breakup could have been something that I knew was coming and just waiting to happen, but it didn't play out that way, which I really appreciated. It wasn't predictable in that sense, and so it was just great. I really liked it. I think more people should read it, especially reading new historical romance authors that aren't as well known as like the big names, so I think more people need to read this one. Then I have another one that I've talked about a little bit, and I don't think I've talked about it recently though, and that is Will You Be Mine by Rosie Adams. I was surprised to see this only has 221 ratings, and I know more than 200 people have watched my videos where I talk about this book, so please pick it up. This one is a friends to lovers romance, and our heroine, she has been burned in the past by a friends to lovers relationship. She and her best friend tried something and she was just like completely heartbroken by it, and so her new best friend is in love with her, which I love it when the male is in love with a girl and she doesn't know, and her old friend that like blew up in her face is getting married and invited her to a wedding, so she needs a date, and so they fake date going to this wedding, and they end up falling for each other, but like things come out about her past relationship and why it didn't work, and it was just so good. So pick this one up if you like a good friends to lovers romance with fake dating. Then I had to include a Christina C. Jones book on here. The Culmination of Everything is one I really don't hear people talk about. I do hear people talk about her most popular books, but this one I feel like isn't as popular. It has 781 ratings on Goodreads. This one is our heroine loses her fiance in the very beginning of the book. I think it was her fiance, and he left. He was in the middle of like texting her something, and it was this mountain that they were supposed to go together, I think, and so she decides to go there herself to try to get some closure, and ends up getting into an accident on the mountain, and the like mountain ranger guy who works there ends up rescuing her, and he's already like really angry at her because he's used to people not knowing how to climb, going up the mountain. He always has to rescue people who are making dumb decisions, and so he's like, you're just another dumb girl climbing this mountain, and they really butt heads, but they have insane chemistry. And then she takes a survival class while she's there, and he's giving it, and they just have really crazy chemistry, and it's really fun because it's enemies to lovers, and I just really love this one. I didn't know what to expect because the synopsis says like nothing about this book, but I never see anybody talking about this when they read Christina C. Jones, so I would recommend this one. Another one actually doesn't have the best reviews, but I really enjoyed this, and so I think it's another historical romance I think more people should read, and that is A Duchess a Day by Charis Michaels. This one is, I believe the rest of them are going to be Disney fairy tale princess inspired books. This one is based off of Snow White, and so our heroine is betrothed to this duke that she really hates, and she doesn't want to marry him, and so she actually has a bodyguard assigned to her because she keeps on trying to run away, and so he has to take this job for a certain reason and make sure that she marries this duke. They fall in love. So it's a historical bodyguard romance, which I haven't read, and I absolutely love that trope. And it's A Duchess a Day because she's trying to find women to replace her to marry this duke. They're actually inspired by the Seven Dwarfs, which I thought was hilarious, and it's really fun and works really well. But there's also a reason why they can't be together, her and this bodyguard, because he's taking this job for a certain reason. And I just thought this was a lot of fun, super unique. I really enjoyed it. Some people didn't like it. Some people are giving it 3 stars. I gave it 4.5 stars. I just really love this one, and I think more people should read it. Then I have an author I hope more people read. The last 2 on this list are books that do have over 1,000 ratings on Goodreads, but they're only just over 1,000. They're nowhere near having as much as they should. But I have Now That I Found You by Christina Forrest. I think so many more people need to read Christina Forrest. I'm obsessed with her books. This one, she's only written 2, but this one is actually about an actress. So if you really like people in Hollywood, but it doesn't have to do particularly with Hollywood because she's running away because of this scandal that happened, and she is trying to get help from her grandmother, who's also an actress who also knows scandal, and then her grandmother like ups and disappears, so she has to ask the boy who's kind of living with her grandmother as like a son figure, and she has to ask him for help, and they run around the city together, and it's fantastic. I really liked it. Our heroine is a little like standoffish at times and really selfish, but the romance ended up being adorable, and I could not recommend Christina Forrest enough, and I'm so excited to read another book by her since she only has 2 out, and I've already read them. I want her to write so much more. The last one is actually super surprising to me because this book only has 1,500 ratings, and it's been out for over a year. I think it's been out for over a year. I think this came out in May of 2020, so it's been almost not quite a year, but only have 1,500 ratings, and I loved it. That's The Ray by Scarlett Peckham. How have more people not been picking up this book? This one, our heroine is a rake, and that in society is not accepted, and so people absolutely hate her for it. A rake is someone who is just someone who enjoys people's company and is sexually active, and so she has had a lot of partners, and people see that as extremely morally degrading and awful, and she's going to corrupt society even though it's perfectly acceptable for men to do it. She is seen as not able to do it, and so she is actually writing like a tell-all book about her life and really shows what it's like between her and this man who she wasn't in a relationship with in the beginning of like when she started to act this way, and how like their futures are so different based on how society views them. And there's an architect who is in the neighborhood, and he is a single father. He did lose his wife, and it's absolutely adorable. I absolutely love the romance in this book. Is amazing, and more than 1,500 people need to have read this book because this is one of my favorite historicals. And I think everyone needs to read it, and I'm so excited to read more by Scarlett Peckham. And those are books that I think more people need to read like right now because they were some of my absolute favorites that don't have nearly enough love according to Goodreads. So let me know down below if you've read any of these and what your thoughts are, or if you have any books you think more people should read that they aren't. So that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.